Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a detailed review on this Cuisinart model number SS-12 Coffee Center Brew Basics. So this coffee maker does a 12-pot coffee on one side and it does a K-cup on the other side. Check out my unboxing where I show you all the dimensions of how big the coffee maker is. And then I've got another video I show you how to set it up. So do that video before you brew your first pot or cup of coffee. So in this video, I've got it all set up. I've got my coffee, I got my K-cups here. We're gonna be brewing some coffee and see how it does. I'm also gonna do another video to show you how to use a reusable K-cup on this side. I'm also gonna show you how to do a D-scale video. So this does have a clean light and a cleaning mode. I'll do that in a separate video. So to start off, there's no other power switch. Your controls are all right here. I've got it plugged into a 2-prong outlet. And again, this is the standard Cuisinart 12-cup carafe. It's got the lid, it's not hinged, you just have to pop it off. This is a warming plate, so it will keep your coffee warm. We can adjust that from 0 to 4 hours. Again, this is the K-cup side. It does have a little drip tray here. It's a nice looking plastic. It's like a deep black plastic. It looks really nice. So it comes with the reusable filter, and it also came with some number 4 cone paper filters for the coffee pot side. Now we don't ever use these at the same time. We either use this one or this one, and I'll show you that. I love Cuisinart's manuals. So I love Cuisinart's manuals. Their manuals are written very well with good pictures, very good description. And I'll be following the manual in this. And it does come with a scoop, but the scoop is just 1 tablespoon. So if you lose the scoop, it's just 1 tablespoon. So this coffee maker is on sale right now for $90. It retails for $150. I'll put a link to it in my show description notes. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you do click on the link, I get a little bit of money from the click, but the products don't cost you anymore. So here we've got the K-cup side, okay? And again, I just ran my fresh water through here to get it all clean and ready to go. But there's the top needle that's going to pierce the K-cup. Then you've got this standard bottom needle basket. I was hoping this would sit in here just a little bit firmer, but it seems a little loose in there, but I think it's going to be okay. And then when you close this, it snaps. Now this is that typical Cuisinart where that's got like a spring. You're not breaking it if the handle lifts up a little bit. It's designed to do that. Over here we've got the coffee maker side. Oh yeah, one thing. This is the water reservoir. So the water reservoir, there's 2 separate water reservoirs. There's a water reservoir for the coffee pot and a water reservoir for the K-cup side. The K-cup side does not have a window to show you how much water is in. It's only got a max line right there. And each side has its own water filter. There's a carbon water filter in there that goes down in there. I show you in the Do This First video. This one has a water filter too, this side. I show you how to set those up and install those. So the only way you know when this gets low on water is there is an add water icon that comes on the screen. So there we have the K-cup side. And again, people ask me, these stickers come off really easy. They're just like Klingons. There's no residue left over. You just peel them off. They come off super easy. Same with that one. So now over here, we've got this is kind of like a standard Cuisinart coffee maker. This is the brew head where the water is going to come out. This is the water reservoir where you're going to put the water. And it does have a thing on the side here to see how much water you have in there. Whatever amount of water you put in here is what it's going to brew each time you hit the brew button. Where on the K-cup side, we can select between 8, 10, and 12 ounces with a selector. You can't do that on this. The coffee maker side brews whatever water you put in it. Here this is Cuisinart's standard brew basket. It's got pause brewing. The coffee pot pushes that up. And when that pushes up, the coffee can come out. So when you put this brew basket has to be in. There's a notch back here. Line up the notch and the handle, and it'll go right in. Because if you get it off a little bit, the lid won't close and it won't brew coffee good that way. So make sure this is down. It's a little tricky, but it'll go down. Again, standard carafe, warming plate. All right. I think that's about everything. Oh yeah, so here's the reusable filter. That's like a gold mesh. It just pops in there like that. We put our coffee right there. Or you use a paper filter. You don't use both of them. It's either or. Again, this coffee maker does look really nice. It's big. It doesn't fit. It does not fit underneath the kitchen cabinet. There's no cord storage. Okay, so let's talk about the control panel. I've got it plugged in. The clock is okay. I wish it was backlit, but it's not backlit. But you can see it okay. It only has a PM light. So this is this is like the on-off button. You turn it on, but it doesn't start the brew process. It turns the coffee maker on. I got to select Carafe, which is the coffee pot side, or the pod brew, which is over here. You think this would have been reversed, but that's okay. And then I can select pod size. I can select 8, 10, or 12. That's my only 3 sizes I can brew on the K-Cups side. So let's turn it off, back on. So we got this round dial. So this can be a little confusing, and it was confusing to me at first. It's got D10s, and it's got this little thing, this little notch, and clock is written on the very bottom. So auto on is when you want to brew a pot of coffee in the morning. It won't brew a K-Cup, but if you want to brew a pot of coffee in the morning, programmed, that's the position. Program, this is how you set that time for the program. Auto off is default is 2 hours. That's how long it keeps the warming plate on. So we can set that from 0 to 4 hours. And then there's a clean. Again, I'll do a separate video on this clean light. When your clean light comes on, it's time to descale it with vinegar. I'll do a video on that. Then down here is clock. And obviously you set the clock, you know. But here's the part that got me. So originally I thought you put it here and then you start a brew. It will not brew. You have to put it in program, auto off, or clock, which to me, none of those tell me brew a pot of coffee. To me, all of those have separate functions, but you have to have it in one of those positions. Program or auto off. So let's just leave it program. I've got my coffee maker on. Now I can brew a pot of coffee, and that's a Carafe brew. So I hit that button and see how it starts pulsing. That means the coffee maker is going to start heating up the water, but I'm not going to finish that. So turn it on again. So see when it's in auto on and I press the Carafe brew, it just turns that light on. It doesn't start a pot of coffee. So cancel that, put that to program, turn it on. Now the pod brew is very simple. You just pick a pod size and hit the pod brew, and it's going to brew a K-Cup. So I didn't see a bold brew on this at all. So I'm going to divide this video. I'll do a K-Cup first. We'll do a couple of K-Cups. I'll check the temperature and taste. Then we'll do a pot of coffee. So what's nice about the K-Cup side is you can do teas, coffees. This is a hot cocoa. You can do a hot cocoa with a K-Cup. Or if you want to just dispense hot water, you can just dispense hot water. It'll come out of there really hot. Just don't put a K-Cup in. Okay, so we lift it up. Again, be careful. That's a really sharp needle. That's where the hot water is going to come out. Let's do a fall blend. So let's just set the K-Cup in here. You don't have, some people will pierce it, push it down on the bottom needle. You don't have to. The machine will do all the work. So when I close it, it's going to pierce the top and the bottom of that K-Cup. Let's open it up and we can see it pierced the top and the bottom. Now don't reuse a K-Cup once you've pierced it like that. So I put another one in. It can go any way. You know, it doesn't have to be turned a certain way. Close the lid. Now Starbucks is pretty good. They tell us to brew it on the 8-ounce setting. Most K-Cups don't tell you what to brew it on. You can brew it on the 8, 10, or 12. 10 is a little watered down to me. 8 is just right. Some Keurigs have a 6-ounce, which makes it a little stronger K-Cup. But make sure you got your coffee mug in there. I'll put a link to these coffee mugs in my show description notes. So we've got so if the coffee maker was off, turn it on, pick your size, 8 ounce. So it says 8 ounce, and just hit pod brew. I noticed it's really quiet at first. It makes you think it's not doing anything. And then we'll get some steam. Yeah. $192. $190, $188, $189, $190, $191, $192, and we can see the coffee is only coming out of the bottom of that funnel. Well, we do get some water leaking out around sometimes. Okay, there's our 8 ounce coffee done. You do hear a little bit of a pump towards the end, and then it's ready to go. And if I showed you, this pulses when it's brewing, and then it's done. You can only do one side at a time if you're I'll try the K-Cup when I'm doing a pot of coffee, but I know when you're doing a K-Cup, you can't do a pot of coffee. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't do a K-Cup. When it's brewing a pot of coffee, you gotta wait. So do your K-Cup first, then do your pot of coffee. So that ends up being a pretty hot cup of coffee. You know, 165, that's about standard. It's not super hot. Some people like really, really hot cups of coffee. There's no way of adjusting that temperature. You know, it's a really dark cup of coffee. And I've tasted this earlier, it tastes really good. It's really, really hot right now. But having that K-Cup side really opens up a lot of possibilities. You know, hot chocolate, really quick hot chocolates, all kinds of different flavors without having to buy a big thing of coffee and fix a whole big coffee pot. Okay, now let's take the K-Cup out. This can be hot, be careful. We're gonna lift this up. There's our K-Cup. Again, I wish that, so see the brew basket wants to come out all the time. I wish that it was held in there a little better. Because you should be able to just pull the K-Cup out. You want to leave that brew basket in there. I mean, you can take it out once in a while to clean it and that, but you don't want it coming out every time you take a K-Cup out. But there's our K-Cup. Check out my video where I show you how you can recycle used K-Cups. And again, there's the top needle. Okay, so now let's switch gears. There was no beeping or anything when the K-Cup side was done, but it does beep at you when the coffee pot side is done. So let's lift this up. Make sure our brew basket is in. Again, either use the reusable filter. The coffee does taste pretty good with a reusable filter. You get a little bit of sediment in your coffee. I've got another video on that. Sediment, I don't know if it's good or bad for you. It does add a little bit of flavor to it, but you will see a little bit of sediment in the bottom of your coffee mug. But here's the number 4 cone filter. So you got to spread them apart, and always make sure they're kind of opened up like that. And then you're going to put your coffee grounds right there. Okay, so I buy just coffee made for a normal drip coffee maker. So it'll just say ground coffee. It should be ground at a medium grind. And if you don't have your scoop, it's 1 tablespoon per cup we're going to brew. So I'm going to do the full 12 cups. If I was only going to brew 6 cups, I would just put 6 tablespoons in. If I was going to do 8, I would do 8. But then again, I got to remember, I would only fill it up to the 6 mark with water. Because whatever amount of water I put in here, it brews all the water every time. There's no switch or anything to say, brew 2 cups, brew 4 cups. It brews everything you've got in here. So you just get your coffee and put it right there in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've got all 12 tablespoons. Now you can vary the amount of coffee you put in there. Just don't put any more. I think it's 14 tablespoons. You could put another tablespoon in there to make it a little more bold or stronger, and you can vary the amount of water according to the coffee till you get the taste that you just like. And again, if I was using the reusable filter, it would be in there and the coffee would be right in there. The advantage of this is so you can clean it and reuse it every single time. Okay, so I've got my carafe filled up to the 12 mark. You can use bottled water, you can use tap water, just don't use distilled water. Same with the K-cup side, don't ever put distilled water in a coffee maker. So we got to pour the water in the back here. It's a little tricky since this has a K-cup inside. You can't get the carafe kind of right where you need it. Okay, so I dumped all the water in there. There's where the water is. Now you may notice it's not all the way to the 12 mark. You can add a little bit more water. You lose a little bit from like steam in that. Okay, so make sure your carafe has got its lid on because the lid, remember, has to push up on that plunger. That's where the coffee is going to come out. And when the coffee pot's in there, it pushes up that and lets coffee out. And it's called pause brewing. So if I want to grab a quick cup of coffee while it's in the middle of a brew, I can do that. That plunger comes down, stops the coffee, but then I got to hurry up and put that back in so that we'll continue the brew. Close the lid. This doesn't really snap. It just kind of lays flush. I did notice this gets really hot during the brew, and this does warp a little bit, so it may just pop open a little bit like that. Okay, so if the coffee maker was off, you're going to press on. And again, this switch is important. It's not a button. It only turns, but you have to have it in one of these three positions: clock, auto off, or program. Then you're just simply going to hit the carafe brew. This light turns off so you can't do a pod brew. And then if you'll notice, this is pulsing. I do like the color of those lights. Those lights are really modern looking. But it's going to pulse the entire time that it's brewing. And that's going to take about 12 minutes. It's a standard 1 minute per cup you're going to brew. I'm brewing 12. So it's going to take 12 minutes. If I was doing 6, it would take 6 minutes. At the end of this brew, it is going to beep. They're not really loud beeps, but it does beep. That can disturb some dogs. I'll try to catch the beeps in the video. This light's going to turn blue to let you know that the warming plate is on. So the warming plate down here underneath the carafe is going to keep the coffee warm, however long you've got it set. From 0 to 4 hours. The default is 2 hours. So the coffee maker is not super loud. It gets a little loud towards the end of the brew, but it sounds like a standard drip coffee maker right now. So I've got this old Cuisinart that I cut open. This was a very popular model with the warming plate, and it had the same brew head. I cut the brew head off, that's what's in there. And I also cut it open in the back. This is the water reservoir. That's where the carbon filter goes. And if we look on the bottom, this is what the coffee maker is doing right now. So the water's coming in. This heating element, I cut it open, is heating the water and then shooting it back up this pipe, and it comes out this brew head. It goes through this little connection right here and out the brew head onto the coffee. So this is why it's important to descale. And I'll show you more about this when we descale it. But what happens is if you got really hard water, mineral buildup inside this and kind of blocks it off. Your coffee won't taste as good, and it doesn't get as hot, and it becomes really loud. So I'm pretty sure that's exactly what this one looks like on the inside right now. Okay, so I'm going to sneak a peek. I don't recommend doing this at home. This can be really hot steam. We're just going to sneak a peek and see how it's doing. Okay, it's doing really good. The hot water's coming out. So I like to see if I can catch that temperature of that water in the coffee. I was expecting it to be just a little bit warmer than that. So I'm checking the water coming right out of the bottom of it. It's about 180. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. We're at the 5 cup mark. I could grab me a quick cup of coffee real quick. You'll get a drip or two onto the burner plate, that's standard. And then just make sure you put this back within about 30 seconds or it will start to overflow. So about halfway through the brew, let's take a look. Okay, it's doing really good. The coffee grounds are not overflowing the filter. That's very important. Okay, so towards the end, it does get a little noisy. It's got kind of like that popping sound. This gets really, really hot, and we got a bunch of steam coming up around it. So we got a little bit left draining in there, and that's going to take, this took about 12 minutes. So this is still pulsing. It's going to turn blue here in any second and beep at us. Okay, so this turned blue. This light came back on. That lets me know that I can do a pod brew now. So while this coffee maker is keeping the coffee pot warm, because I know that because the blue light's on, I can do a single serve. I can do a K-cup. Again, be careful. I'm going to check. There's our coffee grounds. Okay, so let's pour a cup of coffee. Craft pours really good. And let's see how hot our cup of coffee is. That's a really hot cup of coffee. 180. Wow. Really, really hot cup of coffee. So again, this coffee maker will shut the warming plate off after whatever time you have set, which I'm going to show you how to do that. But say you are done with the pot of coffee, you can just hit that button. That keeps the coffee maker on. See how the blue light went away and now it's steady? That means I turned the warming plate off. Now, if I hit this button again, it's going to start a brew. I don't want that. But that's a way, so when the light is blue, that means the warming plate is on. But if I hit that button, I can turn the warming plate off. I can leave the machine on and do like a K-cup. Or if I'm all done with it, I can just hit the off button and turn it off. But the machine will turn itself off. So let's go over cleanup real quick. Again, be careful. It does have this little handle here. We lift this whole basket out, take that to the trash can, and you can dump out that filter. That's the nice thing about using paper filters. I do think the coffee tastes a little bit better with this. But you got to beat the coffee grounds out, and then you got to wash this. And you'll get a few coffee grounds down your sink with a reusable filter. So let's go over cleanup. Normally I just rinse this out, and about every third or fourth time I'll put it in the top rack of the dishwasher. Be careful of that spring and plunger is held in by that little plastic washer. The coffee pot, both of these are dishwasher safe, top rack only. And then after it's cooled down, once in a while, wipe up that warming plate. You will have some burnt coffee on there once in a while. Over here on the K-cup side, this bottom needle basket does come out pretty easy actually. And you can take it apart right there and kind of wash this out once in a while. You'll be surprised how dirty that gets inside there. I'll do a separate video on how to clean the needles. And then just line up the arrows. Okay, so let's go over some of the control panels. Let's go to clock. Clock is all the way at the bottom. And see how that's flashing? Now I can set the hour. It's only got an PM light. So if you want AM, make sure the PM is not lit. Oh, if it times out, you got to kind of go away and then come back, because you can only set it when it's flashing. So there's PM. And then do the minutes. And then I'm going to leave it probably like on program or something. So now let's talk about the warming plate. The warming plate. That's called the auto off. Let's turn it to this. The default is 2 hours. Again, if it stops flashing, just go back one way and the other way. I can adjust this from 0 to 4 hours with some minutes in there too. But so if it's on 0, that means as soon as it's done brewing, it's going to turn the warming plate off. It will not keep the coffee warm. Again, turn it away and come back. So if I want 1 hour, I can also do minutes, anywhere in between. I can do 3 hours and 20 minutes. You know, I can set this pretty basic, from 0 to 4 hours. The default is 2 hours. I find that to be pretty good. And again, if you just leave it there, it stops flashing and goes back to normal time. Now let's program it to start in the morning. Again, it's only for the coffee maker side. Turn the switch to program. While that is flashing, went back to normal time, this is the time you want the coffee maker to come on in the morning. Again, it only has a PM light. So if you want AM, make sure the PM is off. So let's do 5, or let's do 6. Let's do 6, 10, or 11 in the morning. Let it stop flashing. It's going to revert back to time. Make sure you've got your coffee and your water in here according to whatever you want to brew. You've got to have your filter, your coffee grounds, and your water in. And again, if you only want to do 6 cups, just fill it up to the 6 mark on the water and put 6 tablespoons. I got to do one more thing here. Now this is where I have to turn this switch to auto on. I got to turn the coffee maker on, and I got to hit this Carafe Brew with the switch in the auto on position. Okay, there. Now that's how I leave when I go to bed tonight. That light right there has to be on when I go to bed. That means this coffee maker will start in the morning. Don't turn it off. Don't turn anything else. Just so make sure that switch is there, and hit that carafe button and it will start. Now if you hit that carafe button anywhere in any other position, we know it actually starts the brew. So we don't want that. Put that in auto on, turn it on, carafe button. Now say you want to cancel, say you want to sleep in the morning, just hit the off button, it cancels it. So my very next video, this clean light's going to come on when it's time to descale your coffee maker. I'm going to show you how to do that. And this has a clean mode. So we're going to turn it on, put the vinegar in, and hit the brew button to do a clean mode. So overall, I am pleased with the coffee maker. I am going to give it a Just a Dad sticker seal of approval. So overall, I think the looks of it are nice. I would like the switchology to be just a little bit different, but you know what? You're going to get used to it. I do like the looks of the buttons when they're lit up. It does look a little more modern. I wish the display was backlit. But overall, it does have a very nice appearance. I think it does make a very good cup of coffee and a nice K-cup. I would have liked to have seen that stay in there a little bit better. Maybe it's just mine. Usually it's not. So I'm going to have to do a comparison video. I've got this other. This almost looks identical. It's got the K-cup, coffee maker side. This one's $200. This one's like $150. I'm going to do a comparison video with this one. I'm not sure why they came out with this. Maybe they're just wanting something newer. But this one's really nice, and it comes in all kinds of different colors. So check out that video. I'll be doing a side-by-side comparison with these two. And again, if you want to use, say you want to use your own coffee grounds on the K-cup side, I'm going to show you how to use a reusable K-cup on the K-cup side. And don't forget to check out my descale video. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you could, please like and subscribe. Oh, one more thing. I always like to go through the box art. So it makes a 12 cup. I can schedule it. Brews 8, 10, and 12. Modern, sleek design. The back's nothing too. So it looks like it meets all the things that they're advertising on the box. It says it comes with a 3-year warranty. Thanks again, everybody. And if you could, please like and subscribe.